Hello and welcome to my podcast, Up Your Total Glow, your podcast for your body, mind and soul to support, guide and empower you to uncover your most glowing, healthiest and feel-good version of you. I am super excited that you are here with me because if you ask me, there's nothing that looks and feels better. In today's episode, I'm speaking with the absolutely amazing Paula Naeff. Paula is very passionate about keeping things simple and clear. She is a professional speaker, leadership and performance coach who is able to create space where insights and transformation can take place. She is a mother, entrepreneur, former credit manager, clown, dancer and certified Pilates instructor. Her methods are unique as she is able to challenge her clients and audiences holistically on the mind, body and soul level. And she does so with lots of sprinkles of joy. She works individually as well as with groups. She runs retreats and online interactive webinars. And in this very beautiful interview, Paula tells us about her journey. What is really her story behind her becoming this very beautiful and amazing coach. She also tells us how she challenges her clients into transformative processes. We speak about avoidance strategies and what is her routine. She has so many balls in the air. What does Paula do to keep herself glowing and healthy? This interview is beautiful and rich in wisdom and beautiful tools. And if you would like to create more clarity in your life with simple yet super transformative changes, then this is a must listen for you. Please enjoy. Hello and welcome, dear Paula. I am so excited to have you here today. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I've got a little bit of a head cold, but nothing too bad. It's winter here and it has been for Australia quite cold and yeah. It's summer at your end and you are glowing. So I can't wait to jump into this interview with you. Paula, tell us, who is Paula?
That's a good question. There's so much to say about who is Paula. I am someone who's very passionate about helping others, which is something that's very general for a lot of other people too. And what I do is create clarity. And that comes from the background, which is now actually going probably towards who am I? I'm a dancer. That's how I associate myself with, because I danced my whole life. And I'm a mother of two beautiful children. And I'm a lot of other things. But what I really would like to say is I coach people. I help people find clarity, and using my own story as the biggest lesson of my life. I was thinking about this last night, and someone once asked, like, when I said I'm a coach, they said, well, what do you have as qualifications? Like, are you a qualified coach? And at that time, I was a little startled to say, like, whoa, yes, I have a certification. And then afterwards, I was like, actually, I'd like to say I'm qualified by 46 years of life experience with everything and anything that has come my way that I've experienced in good and in the not so nice experiences, which I draw lessons from. So who am I is everything that has been going in my life ever since I was born. And some people believe even before that. So yes, a dancer, a mother, a dog owner, a coach, a lot of other things like working in corporate and having gone through depression. That's also who I am. I'm a depression survivor of many years. I'm a former wife and now ex-wife. We have a beautiful relationship though. And so I'm a lot of things. I come from Finland originally, which, yeah, living in Switzerland, I haven't lived in Finland since I was 19, so that's a few years ago. And so I consider myself also as a citizen of the world. So I feel at home anywhere I go, pretty much.
Wow, beautiful. Such a rich, bountiful, and amazing answer. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. So, of course, I would like to dig a little bit deeper, but first I would like to say I can totally relate to what you said about, do you have a certification as a coach? Yes, I do too. But I also believe if you are a coach and you stick with being a coach, you're probably born a coach. So this is something which we have very innate within us, this need or this gift to really support, help, and empower others. And for me, looking back, same thing. I have always been a coach. It's always been everyone coming to me, and I've been listening and holding that space and lifting them up. And I do feel all of this experience, all of this has qualified me so much more as a coach than my qualifications. Okay, I get it. They are important, and we don't want to do harm here as coaches. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. Beautiful answer. Okay, so Paula, you mentioned that one of your past experiences were depression. Would you dive a little bit more into this? Because I do feel this is a huge topic. I don't know if it's just more spoken about or whether there's more depression going on now, maybe also linked to not such good gut health, maybe also linked to all the isolation that we were forced going through. I don't know, probably all of it, but I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your own journey there, if this is okay with you.
Yes, of course. And this is a big part of where a lot of the lessons that I have right now that I use on a daily basis come from, is that 7 years of being in depression. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're down all the way deep down all the time. It kind of goes up and down. And this, I think, like, I've done this analysis and I've been in therapy, obviously for years because of that depression. And then trying to process, like, what were the things that led into me becoming depressed? And ultimately, as far as I have created clarity about this for me, which I believe is going to keep unfolding for the rest of my life, I will see things that connect to that, is living not authentically. That's ultimately at the bottom of it. Like, I grew up dancing, and ballet is a very harsh world. Kind of, you have to look a certain way, and if you don't, then, or even be a certain height, a certain way, you got to fit in, and then you have to be unique. And I always felt like, I don't fit in, and so I'm not good enough. I'm just not enough, never. And so that spread to everything else. And so my thinking, okay, I want to become a dancer, but I can't because I don't look like a dancer. I don't look like the pictures. And back then there was no internet, or, internet kind of, yes, but not like social media. But, you looked at videos and magazines and other people around you. And I was like, oh, that's not, that I don't look like that. So I can't be what I want to be. And so I was like, all right, well, what is expected of me? What does society, my parents never really said, oh, you have to do this or do that. They were like, all right, do whatever. And so they would support in any path that I would take, and which is great. However, I took the pressure on myself, thinking, okay, well, finish your high school, and then, the next logical step, you go study. Well, the logical step for me, I went to study in the US. So that was a little out of the ordinary for a Finnish person who's never been to the United States. So I did that. And And then, well, what's the next logical step? The next one is you get a job. And then the next one is, well, at some point, and then I came to Switzerland. And at some point, it's like, well, people have families at this age, you have to find someone and have children. And so, all right, well, that happened. And I kind of never felt like any of these decisions kind of were my own. I made decisions. I went along. I said yes to everything. I was like, and I had a good time. I was working at an outdoor company, and we did a lot of like climbing, skiing, mountaineering, all this kind of stuff, really cool stuff, but it was not my passion. So, but I did it. And then when the children came, when I had, well, with the first one, there, it was very dramatic anyway, and it kind of, I fell into a depression already then, but then I went back to work almost full time. And then the next one, the second child, she was born, and that took me all out. Like then when you have small babies and you cannot be anything but authentic because you have no choice, you have no power, energy, anything to be anything but you. And that was like a shock, I believe, to me. Like I had already been working so hard. So I was kind of like burnt out due to, I was working harder than ever, even though I had a baby or a small child and I was pregnant. And then when the second child came, that drove me down way deep. And instead of going back to work after, I was thinking of staying home for like 7 months after the second baby and then get a job part-time. Well, I went to the psychiatric unit for 7 months or 6 months or something like this, for half a year about. So that was how it all started, kind of like in the manifesting this depression into me from not being authentic and always thinking, what do the others want? What do they want to see in me? How do they want me to talk? How do they want, kind of not consciously, but unconsciously always thinking, adjusting, waiting for instructions from the outside saying, okay, this is what is being seen as good, acceptable. So this is how I am. Instead of trusting that, look, who I am, what I am, and how I am is okay, just the way I am. And that took me a long time. Like all those 7 years of the depression was, I went to the clinic several times and I had lots of therapy. And I even had, this one I haven't shared ever before, I don't know. But I even had like electroshock therapy. Wow. Where they, put you under anesthesia and you get this electrotherapy. It didn't help. And medication, everything. And it didn't help until after one of the deepest episodes, I was like, all right, I saw the pattern in my marriage that was not helping, was not in any way. I do not blame my ex-husband. He did what he could. Of course, how could he know how to act? I mean, he has no experience and he has this wife who's like suffering and there's nothing you can do. But it had ended up being in a situation where nothing that I did was ever right. So I decided, okay, that's it. My only way out of this alive is if I get out of that marriage, even though, yes, did not want to break our family into 2 parts or anything for the kids. But in the end, almost immediately after that, I started feeling better. And I was already telling the kids, look, mommy's doing better. So,
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this, Paula. And I'd just like to start with the last bit. I mean, you said you didn't want to break your family apart, which I totally get. But what would have happened if you had completely broken into all pieces? Because obviously there was still one piece holding on to you all those years of suffering, even though it might not have felt like it, but you were coming back and trying for your family, trying for your children. So there must have been still one piece holding on. And thank you so much for, doing what felt right and not falling completely apart, because what would have your children done without a mother? What would we have done in this world without you? Because you are now doing, well, probably have always done this, but now with even more power and more clarity, are doing such an amazing job and helping so many to live a healthier, happier, more empowered life. And this is one thing of the many that I love about you so much. You are so very authentic. And I love this. And this is what my podcast is all about, because fake we get on social media anyway. And it can come across that we coaches have it all together. And yeah, we know a lot of things, and most of us have lived through a lot of things, and we've got lots of tools and have lots of compassion. But do we have our own struggles? Sure we do. All of us, and that's okay. And I think that's even beautiful, because this makes us human and relatable, and this is also how we truly can empower others. So thank you, Paula, for being so raw and sharing this with us. And I feel this is so true. This rings so true to my core, what you said. This depression happens, or this is one form that can happen to us when we are not able to live our most authentic, true self and life. And I also feel society has made this very hard. So for me, I didn't know who I was either. I think we are all on a journey to unravel, well, who are we? And, and then we find different forms of us. Oh, that's how I feel. Oh, this is a piece of me. This is really cool. I didn't know this existed. And I can also share this dancer bit with you, which I think is really heartbreaking. Not that I'm a dancer at all, unfortunately not, not like you, but I fell into the modeling scene. And same thing, you have to look a certain way. You have to have all the right measurements, which I did have by accident. But this whole meat market is completely horrible, such a horrible scene to be in, or such a horrible world. It has nothing to do with, like in your case, it's an art to be a dancer. And, why do you have to be a certain size? Why do you have to have a certain height? I don't know. This is like, this really is so heartbreaking to me. And I love that even though you didn't go into this as your career, that you still say, I'm a dancer, because I love that. It's beautiful. Thank you. I think we need to empower each other and hold on to our true bits of self, if that makes sense. Okay, Paula. Exactly. So how do you empower others? What are your tools? I know you've got many, but I know you are very challenging, or can challenge the other person in your work. So can you just tell us a little bit about your amazing work and how you do this?
Well, it's quite simple, actually. That I love simplicity, and from simplicity comes clarity, and that is pretty much basically what it is. Like anything and everything that I do, at the end, at the bottom of it, whether it's leadership coaching or whether it's coaching someone to find the connection to their true self, whoever they are. If it's an entrepreneur, I have a client who set up her own business and now has hired a team. So there's many scenarios, but at the bottom of, and it's at the core of it actually, is clarity. To have clarity over who you are. And this, I listen a lot. Like I really have learned, and this is a skill that can be learned and is very useful for everything and anything, with your kids, with anyone. If you can listen and just hold the space, even if there's silence. No silence is actually awkward once you're listening. And so this is the basic, like I listen and then I'm present. I try very hard not to prepare anything, like prepare questions, unless, of course, there has been a journey already and we've talked about something that we said, okay, right now would be a time to go back to something. Then, of course, I remember those things and we come back to certain aspects. But basically, I show up and I respond to what shows up in front of me, helping the person who's in front of me find the answers from within and find a way to clarify, clear their thoughts, clear their mind in a way that they can listen, that they have a path. Because a lot of times there's thinking, there's a lot of thoughts that's in the way. We have piles and piles of thoughts on top of each other. And then it's like there's clutter and it's difficult to find, well, what am I actually saying? What is my body telling me? What is this inner wisdom that I have? Because we all do. And that's at the core of this whole clarity, is to find that path to the inner wisdom, because all the answers are within you forever and ever. And that's basically a very big picture of what I do. How I do it is very individual. I do not have a 12-step program to, clear your mind. No. 12 steps are looking different for each person. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 15, whatever it needs. And that's what I respond to. And I like to provoke thinking, like thinking in a way that you see things from a different angle, maybe the same thing that you think that, seeing or experiencing. Well, maybe if you're provoked to think from a different angle, you can see it differently and you see new things.
Beautiful. So empowering. And I feel we're doing exactly the same thing, obviously in different areas. I'm working more on the body, even though there's always a lot that comes from the mind as well, because obviously we are all one, it's all one. But yeah, beautifully explained. And I can only say I feel I do the same thing. It's amazing what can happen if we truly create space that is safe for someone, if we truly listen and are present. And like you said, also maybe ask questions from a different perspective or in different ways that can bring then more clarity. Because yes, there are so many thoughts in our minds all the time. And then also all this trauma, or the way we think we have to be, or we have to show up in the world. Paula, do you have a routine, or what do you do to make sure you show up as this beautiful person every single day, with, having 2 children, being divorced? Do you have a routine? What do you do to stay true to yourself and to keep glowing?
Well, I do have a lot, I would not say a lot. I have a few things that I do every day and that keep me with my energy high and that keep my feet on the ground. So going both ways. I get up early. Now, yes, that's just something I've built up because I noticed how good it does for me to start the day early and have my routine in the morning for meditation. I write, I journal, and I move. So there's 3 things. And that happens, the kids are 1 week here and 1 week with their dad. So when the kids are here, that's especially important, that time before the kids get up. Hopefully, sometimes they get up earlier, but then, I adjust. But and basically I have my hour to an hour and a half in the morning. I get up at 5, and then even if the kids are not here, I get up at 5. That's just how it is. And the recent thing that on top of those, I have to say, I'm part of this unicorn group, which is a connection group. And in that world, unicorn universe, there's a 10x challenge right now. So I've actually picked up a couple other things, which is like showering cold which never say never, because I always said I will never, ever in my life voluntarily shower cold water. Well, that's what I'm doing now, and I love it. So this is one thing that I'm like, oh, I need to do this like every day because I love the feeling of that. And there we go, breaking those myths and you know, also confirming never say never actually is true for most things. And so yes, showering cold, that keeps me also like, it gives this energy just that feels like it's coming from all your cells. I love it. And so yes, those are the things that I keep doing. I have a dog, so that's a routine. She has to go out 3 times a day. So she's taking me out 3 times a day, which is brilliant. And so that's a routine, I would have to say, even though it's related to the dog going out, but I love it. And so those things are just basic. And I learn. One other thing I do is I learn every day.
Beautiful. I love it. You would probably know that I'm a huge fan of Ayurveda, and that in my work, I incorporate lots of Ayurvedic wisdom because it just works. It's this ancient knowledge, which is just amazing. And what you have just described holds so much Ayurvedic wisdom and is so true to or dear to my heart, and also what I do. I too get up early in the morning because when we do that, we live within the circadian rhythm, our biorhythm, and this in itself is so good for our organs and for so many things to reset our life and to be the best version of ourselves. I love what you said about the shower, the ice cold shower, because this used to be me too. Cold, and I like, this is, oh, absolutely not. I started with the cold showers back in Switzerland as well and was so proud of myself. And obviously it's so good because it spikes all your dopamine levels. So especially when you have been struggling with depression, this is amazing from a very physiological point of view, but also I just love it. It's amazing. What I do these days, just because I can, is I jump into my really cold winter pool. I have to say I've got a beanie on because it's so freezing, and now I also have a rashie on. My family is like laughing at me. Like I look like Smurf with a pink rashie on top of it, but I love it. It's just so beautiful. It really helps me also to be brave, not to make excuses or not to avoid things, because I feel if I can do this, I can do all the hard stuff that maybe when I'm too scared or too fearful, I would want to avoid. Is that something that you often see in your clients as well, this scheme of avoidance? Because this is something I often meet or see in my work.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's it within all of us is when things are scary, you tend to find excuses. Why not? Why not? There's always something. Oh, this, oh, that. Why not? And yeah, but you know, taking also that gently and saying, look, don't beat yourself up for avoiding things, because that doesn't help, right?
Never beating up. Beating up is not the, yeah.
No, that's like a double, you know, then you hit yourself twice. At first, it's already the avoiding thing, which you already feel kind of like, well, because if you're avoiding things, that means you already recognize what would be good, but you find an excuse for not. So that's already one internal struggle where you feel like, well, if only I had more courage, or if only this or this or this, or that's going on, so I can't do this. That's already one. And then the second one would be like, well, you beat yourself up for doing that. So no, like gently, even if you recognize that that you're avoiding things, like gently go about it gently. And there's a lot of things we avoid. So not going at all of those things at once, because then you get into this overwhelm and then you're going to stop everything. But looking at, well, what would be the core, that the little thing in the middle that would help in all the other areas where you're avoiding something. So what's that piece in the middle, like a domino? What's that first piece that would then, when it falls, help the others as well? So trying to find and locate that one, and maybe even experiment. Like I like doing that. I work with a couple of people who have a scientific background, and I always go back to, well, experimenting. You went through your whole studies doing scientific experiments, so why not do that with yourself? Like try it with something, well, and then take it apart and say, all right, this is working, this doesn't work, the next one. So use your mind like you're used to using it, and use the skills that you already have, and they're also like creating some distance, like, all right, well, if it's a scientific experiment with me, then there's already, you got to look at it from some distance in order to see. And so even if it's a microscope and you see it like blown up like that, and that's kind of like the approach to look at. So it's one thing at a time. And then once that's, kind of figured out, or you have a system or something consistent about it, then you can move on to the next. And you've already noticed by that time that actually the next one is easier. You started with one, the next one's easy. That's the domino.
Beautiful. I love that. And I love what you said there about, make it a scientific experiment, or look at it, from that angle, because what happens then, we don't look at it with this judging mind, oh, stupid me. And, why did I, or why don't I? But we're looking at, oh, okay, this is interesting. So this works, this doesn't. Yeah, I love that. This is what we do in yoga all the time. I know that you're also a Pilates instructor. This is amazing, Paula. So do you still instruct, or do you incorporate this into your coaching in general, or do you use it for yourself? You said part of your routine is moving. Or all
Yes.
of it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I use it for myself. Like there's certain Pilates moves that I just love. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do just on the mat. You don't need any equipment. You don't need anything else but your own body. And that's it. And that's what I love about it. Because like with that as well, simplicity is just goes through everything that I do. And it's the simplicity of Pilates, that you can do everything. And it's actually harder if you do it just with the mat. You have no other equipment but your own body.
Agreed.
Your own body weight. And that's beautiful. And also, if appropriate, if it feels like it's a good thing, good path to go, I do suggest movements to clients. If it's something that would feel like, all right, that would be helpful. There again, like this tiniest little steps. What if you did, let's say, one push-up against the wall a day? Like if you're really starting from nothing, from zero, from not moving at all, well, what if that was all, and you just keep doing that?
Totally.
And then, and then just, it seems so ridiculously small, but that's how it works.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm 100% with you, and super passionate about this, because I know that if we overload and make it hard, like the next day, we don't want to go back to it. And I think, doing one push-up against the wall, if you are not used to do anything, is amazing. Don't you think? So yeah, and I'm a huge fan, obviously, of the body, but also of moving the body, because I do think we hold so much pain, so much messages are stored within our bodies, and I feel with movement we are able to release some of this, if, like you said, appropriate. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think you are absolutely amazing, a total superstar. You're wearing so many hats, and I love everything about you and your work. Where can we find you, Paula?
The best way is LinkedIn. I do post almost every day. And so there's a lot of resources already in the posts for just thoughts or little tips and things like that. And of course, well, I do have a website too, where you can find a lot of information or some information as well. I do some webinars, like they are always announced on the website, and I talk about it in the post. I am on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Sorry for interrupting. Very not cool as a coach, but you and I should do a webinar together.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, sorry. Continue, Inya. It just
yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, let's plan on that. I love doing webinars because, and I keep how I've done it when I do it by myself, it's 1 hour. Like there again, simplicity. Keep it simple, keep it focused on just one thing, not too much. And there's enough time in 1 hour to go through one topic, and I keep them interactive. So it's not like a lecture for an hour. It's I make you write, I make you share with others. I mean, there's all kinds of activities that go on. So even if that was the only thing that you ever saw or experienced from me, you have something, because I believe in building a toolkit for your life that will help you in situations to, first of all, not go into depression or burnout, because it's preventable.
Totally.
Like if you work on yourself and you're, being authentic and just keeping consistent with things that feel good, you will not go that far. You will not be in a state of mind or body or being where you would be going into a depression. So whatever happens, then there's all kinds of things that will come your way you have no idea of. And some of them are very negative or seem very negative, and some of them, well, positive too. So, be in a state of, okay, I'm able to receive whatever comes and go through it, even if it's hard. And I'm not going to be going into depression or burnout. Like I'm not allowing my body to burn out. And so that's the toolkit. So in everything that I do, like the webinars, or I do also group coaching programs, it's building toolkits of many different things. And you have all these toolkits, and you need one tool at a time, like a toolkit, like, hammering and using a screwdriver at the same time, right? Hopefully. And so the same thing with these tools, like one time today, this hammer is very useful. You can use it. And maybe 2 weeks from now, you'd rather use, I don't know, a screwdriver or some other tool that then you already have in there, and you can just grab it. So that's what I do through all these things, and also with the clients one-on-one. It's building your own toolkit.
I love it. And I feel, we are then paying into our saving account of staying happy and healthy and being in touch, hopefully, with our most authentic version of ourselves, instead of, running low and being totally stressed and trying to make things work. This has a complete different feel to it, and obviously a complete different quality of life that I really don't want for anyone. And yes, this is what happens then: burnout, depression, and many more other not so happy, healthy things. I happen to know that you also have an upcoming retreat. Is this true, Paula? So tell us about this. This is exciting.
Yes, this is very exciting. The retreat is with Sophia Manolis. She is on the island of Crete, and she is actually organizing the retreat on that island where she lives. And I am collaborating with her in that retreat. It's an emotional wealth retreat in September. And it's 5 days or 6 days, 5 nights, just full immersion into all of these topics, and with the goal exactly, like busy professionals, entrepreneurs, people who are like, well, already realizing, all right, I need to do something to break this cycle of seemingly always being busy and overwhelmed and overloaded and everything. All right, one way of doing that is to go on this retreat, which is a full immersion, which is building a toolkit in a very intense setting, but with the goal of not just, all right, feeling good for those days, but having that toolkit to take with you for the rest of your life, really. Not only for the rest of the year then, but for the rest of your life. You have these for life. And that's the whole idea, the whole point. And Sophia and me, we're both coming from somehow similar yet different backgrounds. And she's also very strong on advocating, like, yes, we can prevent depression, burnout, all of these mental conditions, or a lot of them, to just by working on ourselves when we're feeling good, or when we're feeling not already burned out.
Exactly.
Not already in depression.
Exactly. Yeah, beautiful. I absolutely love it. And I think this retreat sounds absolutely amazing and like such a good investment. I hope that there are still some spots available if someone is listening to this now. And I will put, of course, all of this information in the show notes. Paula, can you please share with my audience? I mean, we have received such amazing, beautiful wisdom shared from your beautiful, authentic heart. But could you share with my audience 3 pieces of wisdom, 3 golden nuggets that they can kind of grab onto if they are not feeling so good?
One thing, yes, one thing that will help you, at least if you're feeling overwhelmed and not feeling so good, stop for a few seconds, take one breath. Just one breath, consciously. I mean, keep breathing. Of course, we keep breathing all day. That's what we do. But what if one breath was conscious? Like, just close your eyes, and then it doesn't even have to be deep, whatever. It doesn't, there's no rule, but one conscious breath, and see how that works with your calming down. Because then the next one is calming down any way you can, whether it's taking that one breath, or you go and outside and you look at something green, or something far away, something wide. Then open your eyes and take that in, to just get calm. Allow the nature, allow the air, allow the sun or the clouds, whatever is out there, to calm your system down. Because that does. I learned about, I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I did go to a lecture that was about how environment and architecture can actually inspire us. And this was one of the things that I took away from that, is that open spaces, they inspire you to open your mind, to have more calmness within you when you allow your mind to open beyond your skull. And so, yeah. And what would be the third one? Keep moving.
Beautiful. Love it.
Keep moving.
Love it. Oh, thank you so much, Paula. This has been amazing. I could speak to you forever. I think I have to have you back. I am such a huge fan of your work. Is there anything that you would still like to mention? Anything that you feel I haven't really touched upon, or a last word to my audience?
The final words of wisdom. Just trust yourself. That's the kind of the final word. Trust.
Yeah.
Whenever you come to a point, and this happens so often, is you come to a point where you're like, I don't know if things are going to work. Trust.
Beautiful. Love it. So empowering, so powerful. Thank you so much, beautiful Paula. Like I said, I love your word. I am such a huge fan of you, of your work, and I am absolutely grateful that you help to make our world a healthier, happier place. Thank you so much. Keep glowing.
Thank you, Ruth.
I hope you loved and enjoyed my podcast as much as I did. And if so, I would love to ask you a favor. I need your help in creating a happier, healthier place. I can't do it without you. Please like, subscribe, share and review my podcast, because this is the only way that others can find the content in this podcast too. I know that you were born to live your best life, to feel absolutely wonderful in your beautiful body, in your brilliant mind, and in your boundless soul. So what are you still waiting for? Please make sure you do. I believe in you. I'm your biggest cheerleader. Keep glowing. Much love.